Welcome, everyone. Let's get today's show started. It's Tuesday, the 23rd of June. I am Bosin Omofaye. Welcome to Frontier Opening Bell. Let me introduce my panelists for today. Ali Khan Sacho is the CEO and founder at Rich Frontiers in Nairobi, Kenya. Good morning, Ali.
Morning, Bosin. Good to see you again.
Quite a lot of big corporate news from East Africa this morning, including the VAT tussle between the National Treasury and the Parliament. Ali will ride over those stories for us. Ayodeji Ebor is the CEO and chartered stockbroker at Afrinvest Securities here in Lagos, Nigeria. Ayodeji, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Watson.
Thank you. And of course, Luke Ofojebe is joining us. He is the team lead equity research at Vetivo Capital.
Good morning, Watson. Thanks for having me here today.
Thank you so much, everyone. From the global space, quite a bit of some positive news this morning. Oil is back at, Brent is back about $43 a barrel. President Trump countered his trade advisor, Peter Navarro, about the trade deal with China, saying the deal is still on the table. That got the markets back in the green territory. And within the last hour, we saw the PMI from the Euro area reading positive. Germany was 44.6 against estimates of 42.5. In France, the PMI read 50.6. That's in the green territory. We'll see how all of this will impact. Perhaps we'll have some positive impact on frontier markets in Africa. But let's give you a sense of where we finished off on Monday, the first trading day of this week, as we begin to step into the final days of the month of June. Nigerian market softened 0.3%. The Ivorian market, the PRVM, was less than 10% in the green territory. The Egyptian market, the UGX30, 0.75% in the negative territory. The Kenyan market down 1.41%, losing its 144 reading on the All Share Index. The South African market, the continent's largest stock exchange, was flat on Monday. This morning, the GSE opens around 1.38% in positive territory, taking its cue from the rest of the European and the US futures market. So let's get straight into the analysis with Northeast Africa, where the big story this morning is around Equity Group Holdings PLC making some announcements regarding its pursuit of banking licenses in Mozambique, Zambia, Tanzania, and Rwanda. Meantime, Bamburi Cement yesterday weighs on the Nairobi Securities Exchange 78% turnover tumble. Bamburi Cement was down north of 9%. Meantime, in Dar es Salaam, the listed DCC reported 51.24 million Tanzania shillings rise in income for full year 2019. In Malawi, Blantyre says his annual meetings is going to be July 21st and will pay a gross dividend of 83.97 million Malawian kwacha. And from Rwanda, the Minister of Finance says the economy will grow 2% in 2020, a positive reading, and a bit bigger in 2021. Let's throw this straight to Ali, who is angling to get going on the big Equity Group Holdings story.
Yes. So
what's this notification all about, really?
So this was a transaction that had been announced a few months ago, and was in that interim period of between the announcement and the closing. And this was the acquisition of Bob Diamond's Africa business, Atlas Mara. And Atlas Mara, the presence, as you said, Rwanda, Tanzania, Zambia, and Mozambique. We knew a few weeks ago that everything was not okay with this transaction. There were some comments that Dr. Mwangi, the very iconic CEO of Equity Bank, was quoted on Bloomberg. Clearly what they've done is they've stepped back from this transaction. They've spoken about the need to conserve capital, the fact that, inorganic growth is not top priority right now. Of course, Equity had also announced a dividend and then withdrew that dividend payment. So they're playing a very conservative balance sheet game. That's evident. And they're obviously looking to consolidate their business. They completed the acquisition of a big bank in the Congo recently, where their business has been going great guns. You know, the mobile money business has been a great platform for that Congo business. So I think the market will take this relatively positively. Atlas Mara businesses were not really relevant in those home markets, except Rwanda maybe. So I think the market will see this as a positive step and should you know, flip the price a little bit higher. So that's one development. James, of course, is in a number of African markets, particularly in the East African space. The other announcements you spoke about, VAT, this is where Parliament pushed back on the Treasury. The Treasury wanted to put VAT on LPG. Of course, I think Parliament's pushing back because LPG is bought by practically everybody, and it was probably a very unpopular measure. And also, you know, it's clean energy, it's taking people away from charcoal. So I think there's also a society, pollution, etc., a pushback coming here from Parliament, means that the government will have to go back and look at their numbers again. We've already spoken about that, Boyason. They're in a deep hole here. I estimate in excess of $10 billion. So they're looking to collect money from wherever they can. This will make them have to go back to the drawing board. Just to mention, there's an election today in Malawi. This is a repeat election. The court reversed the previous election. So that's an interesting political development. You were also mentioning...
Quick one on Bamburi Cement.
Yes.
How big is this company within the NSE, the Nairobi Securities Exchange? Is it by size of market cap? Give us a minute on that very quickly.
So Bamburi Cement, majority shareholder Lafarge, which is, I think, similar to what you have in Nigeria as well, was by far the biggest cement company, and at one point market capitalization of about $350 million, and currently the market cap is $11 million. So it has absolutely crashed.
I understand.
Right now, yeah. I mean, we were well. I think, you know, we lost 70 to 80% of the value over about the last 5 to 6 years. In part, I think it's they skipped the dividend. They've been having a cash flow issue. They did benefit from the SGR, the big railway project. But I think this is a correlation to what people are expecting to be a sharp slowdown in cement consumption in the region because of the slowdown. And obviously the slide we're seeing in the real estate sector as well, where we've got a lot of unsold properties, and we've had an overbuilding phase, which is now coming undone because of COVID being such a circuit breaker.
Oh, interesting perspective there on how Bamburi Cement share price is down from about 180, nearly 200 shillings, now to about 30 shillings on the counter. A very disappointing story there. Couldn't cement its own shares with the knock-on effects from the macroeconomic environment. Thank you, Ali. We'll get back to you on the Southern African market. Is the Rand stuck in the middle somewhere? A positive outing this morning to start the second trading day, taking its cue from the global market space. But let me ask Ayode Jiebo from Afrinvest, where are we at the moment regarding the state of the Naira? What's going on? But this is your overview of the West African Nigerian market, Nigerian stock market. Stock Exchange yesterday announced the upgrade of its X-Data portal to improve access to the market. Data, I'm sure Ayode Jiebo and Luke are very well aware of this upgrade that the Nigerian Stock Exchange did yesterday. Meantime, today, within the hours, the Nigerian Breweries annual general meeting, shareholders can go online. There'll be the live stream of this 10 o'clock Nigerian time. You can listen to that if you're shareholders of Nigerian Breweries PLC. Seplat, meantime, announces a second dealing in its shares by a major group, which is now taking about 5.11%. I will ask Ayodeji about Seplat as well. Bank of Ghana yesterday says the government spends about 6.4 billion shillings on interest payments on loans in first quarter of 2020 in terms of borrowings. That is, meantime, Moody's Investor Services came on BMC, Bank of Africa, with extensive footholds in West African markets as a commercial bank, changing the outlook for this commercial bank from stable to negative on COVID-19. But let's get to the Nigerian story. Ayodeji, what's your topic? Is it the ex-data trader or where the Naira is at the moment with dollar liquidity?
Okay, I think I will be starting with the Naira illiquidity or the dollar illiquidity, which we feel that may be a major factor to drag us into recession than even the COVID-19. Investors always would prefer to have a direction. I'm not trying to project where the Naira should settle, but as long as we are able to estimate where the Naira will be, it will help in terms of business activities. Currently, foreign investors are still trapped, but most of them are out of their will, just rolling over their current maturities, pending when CBN will resume actively the supply of dollars. And for business guys, it's critical that they have some form of direction. You don't want to import at a particular rate, and by the time you're paying your supplier, it's also at an unfavorable rate. So you know what trade constitutes in terms of its contribution to employment in Nigeria. When you look at it in terms of the regarding the informal sector, it's very critical, and I'm hoping that the CBN would act faster in this regard, and will be able to get some form of clarity, and that would also help regarding foreign investors coming to Nigeria in the future. They're coming to the NSE and new data portal 2.0. I feel this is a very positive one. Kudos to the NSE team and management. It provides, I've gone through the portal, so it also provides access to everyone on the street to register and have access to data. You know, where the gap is in Nigeria regarding equities is, for most people don't understand how it works, don't even have information on how the market is. So if you are able to provide more access to data, even before investing your funds, you can be following the data, seeing the top gainers, top losers. It gives you a sense of what is really happening in this market. You know, if you look at the FX market, you see a lot of them have some form of dummy platforms where you test your hands on before you get into the real platform. So I believe that this platform will provide more transparency, more access to the market, and would even attract new investors as they see how the market performs.
I agree with you. Even who does betting, they look at the numbers very well. They see the trend. They look at it before they put in their money. So it's surprising in this part of the world why folks just throw money around into every schemes they hear about in the newspapers and television, wherever it is, in the social media, without doing some form of due diligence and following the market. So this is a good one. Ayo, just a second. Let me ask Luke Ofojebe at Vertigo Capital, what's your take where we finished off yesterday? But what more important is your outlook for today's trading day, looking at some of the positive news from the developed markets. Do you think there's anything there in for us at this frontier space in Nigeria?
Thank you for your question, Boateng. So yesterday, the market closed down. We saw losses across major sectors. I think the only sector that closed up yesterday was consumer goods, and that was mainly driven by the gains we saw in Nestle. For the other sectors, they closed in the red. It was still due to profit taking in a number of heavy counters. So today, I still think we might see a similar trading pattern in the course of today's trading session. However, I don't rule out the possibility of bargain hunting in a number of stocks that are trading at very cheap valuations. And more so, given the recent improvements we are seeing in oil prices, that should in a way cement investors' confidence in the equity market. So we expect that to also drive positive trading sentiment in the equity space. However, if you're trying to look at the long run, you think macroeconomic fundamentals have not really improved. Even before COVID-19, that was the case, and COVID-19 has only worsened the situation for Nigeria. So consumer spend is really going to drop for the rest of the year due to lower disposable income, mainly stemming from poor economic activity. So overall, we expect, especially for the manufacturers, we expect their turnover to decline. We also expect bottom line to decline over the course of the year. So for the rest of the year, we think for most investors, it's going to be more of cautious trading. Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll touch back a bit on this later. Let's touch on with the Southern African market. The GSE opened today about 1.38% in the positive territory, taking its reading from the revised statement on US-China trade deal by President Trump. Says the deal is still on the table. Meantime, overnight, South Africa is mooling a multi-billion rand sale of green infrastructure bond. Ali, this is one story. The authorities in Southern Africa are looking at the green infrastructure bond. There are projects that South Africa wants to fix. So they think this is the way to go. We don't have a size. We don't have an idea what the size of this will be, but it's a story there in the news. Meantime, RMB says South Africa's budget deficit will widen to about 14% of the GDP this year. And of course, notifying the market, MTN Group talked about a dealing of shares of about 1.6 million by MTN Holdings. And SA Telecom stopping dividend for 3 years after recording a massive decline in profits, but has one eye on what you call the towers business. So where do we start from, Ali? Let's go with the green infrastructure bond.
Yes. Yeah, as you know, Boyason, green, the whole green theme in the financial markets is a hot topic. It's sexy. Everyone wants to get on board. I think the African Development Bank did a similar issue, but they didn't call it green. They called it something else. I think the South Africans are being very smart. They're looking to tap into this investment theme that's around. The issue will be where will they target the funds that they raise from this green bond. So I think it's a big opportunity maybe for them to get more aggressive in the renewable space. They've been very dependent on old fuel and old energy, so this could be an opportunity for them. And I think it speaks to how smart Tito Mboweni really is at understanding the market dynamics. So interesting to see. There's no size on it, no tenor. I think they're going to be checking market interest at this point. 14% budget deficit. The optics of that is pretty extraordinary, but it's like anything. You tell the market the worst, and then maybe you come a little bit better, and people feel a bit better about things. So I think that also speaks to the cleverness of the policymakers there. They're putting it out there, deal with it now, and hopefully we can do a bit better.
I like that. I like that. And sometimes as a journalist, I wish the Nigerian authorities would do the same thing. Bite the bullet, go forward, and work your way backwards. In accounting, I guess that's what we learned in Accounting 101. When you're doing your books, make sure that you're booking all your expenses and expenditure. Go high on your expenditure and go low on your revenue. So if you go the other way around, then you're likely making a good thing. But if you're too optimistic on your revenue, and your expenditure comes in a lot higher, then you're caught in the middle. So I like this. You talk about the optics. So say, look, we're going to do 40% deficit. Okay, fine. So if we do 20% or less than that, kudos to everyone. That's a good job. Thank you, Ali. Quick one. Let's check in with the North African market very quickly. The EGX30. Yesterday, on the Egyptian market, the biggest market north of the continent, did 0.75%, led by International Bank and one or two others. Meantime, the Egyptian Central Bank issued 34.5 billion treasury bonds in 2 installments. And overnight, we got stories from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, EBRD, giving $100 million loan to Egypt via CIB to mitigate the economic impact of coronavirus. Meantime, Moroccan markets, that's the MESI, ends higher, 0.31%, sidestepping the bigger markets in Egypt. Morocco's consumer prices slipped 0.2% that should be May, 0.9% in April. Ali.
Yes.
What's your take on the Egyptian pound? Is my focus at this point for just about a minute.
So very quickly, that was the story I was interested in, the issuance of Egyptian-denominated bonds. I think they're tapping into international investor appetite, which was the darling trade from the devaluation time. Everyone was buying these bonds. They were putting money to work in Egypt. And it was the best carry trade, I think, in the world for the last 36 months until recently. So I think that they're looking to test the water to see if international investors will pile in again. I, for one, think they will, particularly if they get a double-digit yield. So I think that's very interesting. We should keep an eye on that because it could suck money away from other local currency plays that are in play at the moment, including yourselves, where a lot of money is there, but it's not willingly there. Here in Egypt, we're going to test how willing investors are to put money into Egypt at the moment. I suspect they'll be very, very willing.
Okay, a quick one, Ali. Thank you. I heard you. This news around Seplat. So let's spend about a minute or two before we round up on Nigeria. What's the story about Seplat? What's your take on this company and the whole oil market, oil industry environment where we find ourselves at the moment?
Interesting times for most companies, so not also peculiar to Seplat. We know Seplat has tried to diversify its income base to more of gas within the last few years, and we feel that there's a lot of gas is the next future. There's a lot of potential in that space. So despite the current challenges, once economic factors improve, we know that regarding their top line would also improve within that space. The latest news is the acquisition by the Sustainable Capital African Alpha Fund, SCAF, purchasing about 5.1% of the shares. So that also reinforces that for investors that see the future, for investors that see that potential that it brings in the future, for them to take position. The share price have dipped significantly in the last 3 or 4 months, and we feel that it's for any investor coming in at this time, and then for those investors that have that long-term horizon, we feel that it presents very interesting opportunities for them. So it may look challenging now for the company because of commodity prices that have declined across board, but we believe that gas is the future, and they've been diversifying significantly into gas.
Okay, thank you so much. The annual general meeting of Nigerian breweries is taking place at 10 o'clock local time. So, Luke of Fochepe, if you're watching this shareholders meeting on live stream, what will you be looking to see or to hear from Nigerian breweries moving forward?
I think what I will be more interested in is what was the company's strategy as regards managing supply chain disruptions? Because since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, I think its major impact on manufacturers is the disruptions in supply chain. So I really want to know what the company is planning to do in terms of finding its way around this challenge. We know, for instance, now that at the moment, a number of bars and clubs clubs are still closed for now, and these are major channels through which these brewing companies actually distribute their products. So I really want to know how they'll be able to maneuver their way around this challenge and continue to serve their final consumers going forward. So that's a big one for them. And more so, we see how like stiff competition in that space. Since international breweries came into that segment, we've been seeing like stiff competition among all the players in that space. As a result of that, Guinness, for instance, has decided to focus more on the spirit business. I think for now, the major players in the beer business are still Nigerian breweries and international breweries. And international breweries at the moment is really making business more difficult for Nigerian breweries. So I really want to know what they are planning to do in terms of trying to emerge as a winner in the competition. Because right now, a number of their products are actually losing market share to new products that international breweries is unveiling. So these are my major concerns for the company now.
Great. Thank you so much, Luke Ofojebe from Vetiver Capital. Thank you very much for coming through on the show today. We appreciate your time and your contributions. Ayode Jebo, the CEO at Afinvest Securities, and of course, the rich man in Nairobi. From Rich Frontiers Management, Ali Khan Saichu, the CEO and founder. Thank you, folks. Let's get together tomorrow, Wednesday, and continue from here. I am Bosin Namofaye, and I'll see you next time.